Hello everybody, welcome to Officers Adda 247 YouTube channel. Good evening everybody. I hope that everybody can clearly see me and they can hear me properly. Fine. So I have checked, so everything is working fine. So till now, as you know that this is a session for your JAIIB exam, and particularly we are targeting the Indian economy and Indian financial systems for this particular session. Fine. It is one of the component IE IFS, which you know for your JAIIB examination, considered to be one of the toughest in all the components. So we have covered the concepts till unit number 9. Today's class will be for unit number 10, that is climate change, sustainable development and your green financing. So we will be learning various things today, not only about climate change but also how banks are involved in changing the Indian economy when it comes to the climate change. Fine. The agenda is, we will be starting with the basics of sustainable development goals and link them with the climate change. We will see the core elements of sustainable development. What all are the core elements for SDGs or sustainable development? India's progress is very important. We must know how our country is faring in all the targets or all the goals. Green financing and green bonds, we will have an overview, basically what is the definition, and we will try to understand what basically we mean by the green financing. Along with that, we will also see CSR activities, because corporate social responsibility involves many dimensions, out of which climate is one of them. Fine. Climate is also one of the dimension in the form of environmental responsibility. Okay, so we will learn all these concepts today. So my recommendation to all of you, as always, would be try to make notes, because ultimately you have to revise whatever you have read. You won't be able to memorize all the concepts, so better thing would be to make notes. Fine. Make notes and do revise these notes. After making them, don't just keep them, try to revise these notes on weekly basis, at least on weekly basis. Fine. Only then you will be able to make sense out of whatever we will be learning. So let's start. What is climate change? Anything which is deteriorating the climate falls under the domain of climate change. For example, your Arctic Circle. Fine. Arctic Circle, the ice there is melting, and that ice is ultimately forming what? Water. Fine. So it is being converted into water, because of which your water level, or specifically sea level, will rise, and ultimately the rise in sea level is detrimental towards environment. So this was just an example. Forest fires are also an outcome of climate change. Then you can say the extinction of various species is also one of the example of climate change. Whatever you feel that you have in mind, you can also share it right now in the chat section. Otherwise, for those of you who are watching it in a recorded format, I want from everybody to at least tell me what do you understand by the term climate change, or at least give me one example, one real life example where you are noticing a remarkable observation in terms of climate change. So as of 31 December 2021, 123 countries have adopted national disaster risk reduction strategies. Now, why we are talking about disaster risk reduction strategies? Because ultimately, if we will reduce the human induced disasters, fine, human induced natural disasters, then we can surely say that we have accomplished the challenge of, we have terminated basically the challenge of climate change. So in that line only, 123 countries have adopted the national disaster risk reduction strategies And the seriousness of this issue is reflected from the fact that earlier only 55 countries were there who signed this particular convention, and now 123 countries have signed it. All more than double countries have signed it. So this shows the level of seriousness. Why we want? Because we don't want our Mother Earth to suffer. Fine. Earth must be protected. Fine. Now, this was a basic overview of climate change. Whatever we can, whatever we must know in our domain. Apart from that, there are various conventions. Let me be very clear with you. Various conventions, various rules and regulations. You can say United Nation, FCCC, fine, Federation on Climate Change. This particular organization has given us many conventions, many rules, many regulations. Then your COP, Conference of Parties, is also there, where various conferences are there for rehabilitation, for mitigation, for every aspect. Fine. So my point is that for our examination point of view, these things are not that important, but we must know that what is climate change. Okay, it's a vast concept. We cannot summarize it in a single chapter or a single unit. It is a subject in itself now. Fine. So what you need to remember is, or what you need to understand from this lecture is, Sustainable Development Goals. And in that also, not all the 17 SDGs, you must remember only 3 to 4 Sustainable Development Goals which are relevant for your economic reforms, or for that matter, banking industry and environment, direct impact. Fine. One fact which you can remember is this, that 193 parties have communicated their first NDCs. Now, what is NDC? Basically, what happens is, at global level, we have SDGs. Fine. So, SDGs are like the umbrella goals which everybody must fulfill in whatever form they want. Ultimately, what United Nations want is that SDGs must be implemented in each and every nation of the globe in its soul. Fine. So for that, what is present in every nation? It is NDC. Every nation has determined its own goal according to the regional conditions, and the name for those goals is nationally determined contribution. So till now, 193 parties have signed, or they have communicated their first NDC, and 13 parties have submitted their second NDCs. Why NDCs are important? Because it will give us a track that where the various countries in the globe lie at present and where they can improve. Now, one important factoid here is that we must limit the global warming to 1.5%. This is the number which I hope everybody must be knowing. This number is there in news since 7-8 years, that we must limit the global warming to 1.5 degree only, 1.5 degrees Celsius only. And for that to happen, scientists have recommended that by 2030, global emissions should be cut by 45% compared to 2010 level. So the benchmark for the benchmark for global emission is 2020, and it must, the emissions which were there in 2020 levels, those emissions should be reduced by 45% in order to limit the global warming to 1.5%. So these three things you must remember by 2030. Why? Because SDGs are till 2030 only. Their time span started from 2016 and they are valid, or they are there in till 2030. After 2030, what will happen? We don't know yet. There is a possibility that the UN will scrap this, fine, SDG, or higher chances are there that they will extend the time period. So, according to the current national commitments, the global emissions are set to increase by 14% during the rest of the decade, leave alone limiting the global warming levels. If the current status will remain, then the emission levels will rise by 14%. So the seriousness of this particular issue of climate change is huge. Every nation must take care of its own emission. Net zero emission targets must be met. Fine, it will take time. Like for India, it is 2070. Fine, India has maintained this NDC that net zero emission we will achieve by 2070. But the smaller goals must be attained. Otherwise, what will happen? Your SDGs will make no sense once you go in 2030, because 15 years is a huge time span. Na? It started from 2016 till 2030. If the countries are not serious, then what is the motive of giving 169 targets? Okay, there are 169 targets for SDGs and 17 goals are there. Okay, so development which meets the needs of present without compromising the ability of future generation to meet their own needs is known as sustainable development. Okay, simple. All those parameters which help us to sustain the level of growth, to sustain the environmental growth for our future generation as well. All those activities, all those developmental activities come under sustainable development. And this definition, this one which we have just read, it was given in one of the most important environmental commission, that is Brundtland Commission. And this commission is very, very important for the environmentalists, or for that matter in the environment subject, but not that important for us. Still, you must know that the report's name is Our Common Future, published in 1987. Okay, what we must know, that what do we mean by sustainable development? That's it. If you know it, then you are good to go. Now, core elements are for your sustainable development. The core elements are economic growth, social inclusion, and environmental protection. Environmental protection is the heart and soul, I would say, for sustainable development, because economic growth and social inclusion can happen, but if environmental protection is not there, then these things won't make sense in future. Fine, we are talking about future, na? Whenever we talk about sustainable development, we talk about the future. If environmental protection is not there, if our environment is not protected, then these things will make no sense. Fine, rapid industrialization will be there, rapid growth will be there, economic growth will be there, social inclusion will also be there, but your environment is not protected, so everything will fall apart. So this is the most important element, if you ask me, environmental protection. In 2015, the United Nations General Assembly, it is an agency in United Nations only, GA, we call it UNGA. They announced 17 sustainable development goals and 169 targets for 15 years. Okay, these goals were proposed way back in 2012. They were implemented in 2015, that's a different story, but the talks were on since 2010. After 2010, 2011 was a lull period, you can say. In 2012, they were proposed where? In Rio +20 summit. Fine. And you must be wondering that, okay, they were implemented, or they were in talks since 2010 or 2012. What before that? Fine. There must be some institution, or there must be some agency which was looking towards the environmental sustainability. So yes, it was there, and the goals were known as Millennium Development Goals. Fine. And they had an expiry date of 2015. After this year only, the SDGs started in 2016. Fine. And as the, you can say, promotion of SDGs go, fine, the promotion of SDGs is on the basis of this thing only, that they are the most comprehensive of all those MDGs. Fine. MDGs were not that comprehensive. They had certain elements from, you can say, poverty, from hunger, from economic development, but they were not, the countries were not given specific targets. Fine. These 17 goals are there in SDGs, and 169 targets are there. In MDGs, there were 8 to 9 you can say goals, and specific targets, such elaborate targets were not there in MDGs. So it was one of the critique of MDGs. That is why it was not extended beyond 2015. Okay, the timeline for SDGs is 2016 till 2030. Next, now what is one second. Okay, so do you guys have any doubt? You can ask me, those who are watching. Okay, I think it's clear. Fine. So the core elements of SDGs we have done. Now we will look into the 17 goals, what all those 17 goals are, which we are talking, that 17 goals, 169 targets. What are those 17 goals? First goal is no poverty. The world must be free from poverty. Although these are ambitious targets, but if we won't start, then we won't reach. That is the simple funda given by United Nations General Assembly, that you must start. You must start your progress towards no poverty as a country. Okay, we will achieve it or not, that's a different story. When we will achieve it, that is again a different story, but you must start. Fine. Similarly, SDG 2 says zero hunger. SDG 3 says good health and well-being. Quality education is for SDG 4. SDG 5 says gender equality. Clean water and sanitation is given in SDG 6. Affordable and clean energy for your SDG 7. Now, clean energy is important. Fine. In today's world, every nation is talking about clean energy, and it is mentioned in SDG also. You will see after the SDGs were implemented, many countries took various initiatives which we today know, like this clean energy thing and decent work along with economic growth. This is very important for us, for our exam as well as for our banking industry. SDG 8, mark this very, very important. Then for our exam, industry is important, sectors of economy, industry, innovation and infrastructure, SDG 9. After that, reduced inequality, the income inequality which we talk about. So it can be considered as the concept of economy again. Sustainable cities and communities. Sustainable cities means what? All those smart city projects which you are seeing, they have one component as sustainability in it. Fine. After the, it means not rapidly growing. We are not growing rapidly. We are considering the sustainability aspect while being smart. Responsible consumption and production, again one of the component of supply and demand, or the consumption levels which we study in Indian economy. So this is again important, SDG 12. Then we have climate action, SDG 13, which is the essence of this chapter. Fine. We have started this chapter with the name climate change and SDG. So climate change and SDG link here. Fine. Specifically, otherwise, so there are many various measures where climate will be involved. Life below water, the aquaculture we are talking about. Fine. Oceans, seas, lake, whatever, ocean bodies, water bodies. Life on land, all those life forms on the land. Peace, justice and strong institutions. Strong institutions mean all those decision makers, in all those people as well as the institutions which are there to make some concrete decision, the heavy decision making part. Partnerships to achieve the goal. Partnership is required. If we talk about India, center state partnership is required. District state partnership is required. Fine. Tehsil, sub tehsil, partnership is required, and people partnership is also required. Fine. So these are the 17 SDGs which you must know and remember. SDG 9, SDG 12, SDG 13 and SDG 8. These are very, very important for our exam. Now let's move on to India's progress, how India has progressed. We have been lucky enough that we were able to achieve greater heights as the time progressed. Fine. When we started, we were ranked pretty low. Our score was also low. It was below 60. The official score of 2018 says it all. We were with the score of 57 only. But today, the latest data shows us that we are at the score 71 in 2023-24. So that is a quantum jump. Okay. You won't be able to make sense here that this is just a small number. We have changed only what 10, 12 odd numbers. But yes, it is a quantum jump because various categories are there. If you see now, the score is not based on a single parameter. It is based on multiple parameters. So significant progress we have made in various goals like SDG 1, no poverty, SDG 8, the work and economic growth, SDG 13, that is climate action, and life on land, that is SDG 15. So these are the basic SDGs where we have progressed really good, really well. And why we were able to make progress? Only because of the nationally determined goals, nationally determined contributions, and they were basically part of our journey since the genesis of SDG from 2016 only. And how we have classified the NDCs, this is C not G, okay. How we have classified our NDCs? We have classified our NDCs based on various schemes. Fine. For each and every sector of economy, we had various schemes in mind. Our leadership, our national leadership had various schemes in mind, like Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, then Ujjwala Yojana. These things are what? These schemes are for what? These schemes cater to the lowest rung of the population. Swachh Bharat Mission, Jan Dhan Yojana. Jan Dhan Yojana was part earlier, I would say, earlier than SDGs only. But yes, it had a greater impact in economic reform. It basically financial inclusion was because of Jan Dhan Yojana. Pradhan Mantri Mudra Yojana, Startup India, etc. Fine, etc. May you can say that Skill India is also one of the scheme which provided with the better or you can say decent work condition. Fine. They had impact and led to rapid improvement. The overall score now stands at 71. You must remember this number. Whether written in the book or not, that does not matter. You must remember whatever we are studying. Fine. Okay. Any doubt you can ask me. Now let's move on to India's progress in SDG for your regional level. Fine. Now we have seen that how India has progressed as a country overall at national level. Now regional level is also important to understand. You must be seeing these yellow patches on the map of our country. Now, as soon as you just accomplish a task or you make progress in the SDGs, you will find that this yellow portion will just move away. Now, currently we are standing here. Fine, we lie here. Initially, what happened in 2018 was the hilly areas, the terrains, and some southern states were doing really well in SDGs. They were serious about that. After that, we had more states from South India along with one northeastern state also, which chipped in and made better progress in SDGs. By 2020-21, maximum I would say maximum India, be it the peninsular India or the northern India, apart from, you can say, central India, western India, and some parts of major part of northeast India, they were not doing that well. But presently the latest data shows that only some states here and some in northeast India, they are left. Otherwise we have covered, or we have achieved greater goals in overall Indian scenario. Fine. So all states have shown improvement in overall score. The score for the range of these scores lie from 57 to 79. Now 79 is a very good number. Any number above 70 is a very, very good number. If you see globally also, if you have time, then do read the report on SDGs. Fine. SDG report by your UNGA. That is important to understand and make more sense out of the SDGs. Fine. So any score above 70 is considered to be good. Okay, I'm not saying marvelous, but yes, it is good. Between 2018 and 23-24, fastest moving states are Uttar Pradesh. Fine. Initially it was lagging way behind. As you can see, it was in the red zone. In increase of score by 25, it has increased its score by 25. Now it lies in the green patch. So kudos to Uttar Pradesh government here. Followed by Jammu Kashmir. Initially Jammu Kashmir was also lagging in certain parts of SDGs. Now it has jumped by Jammu Kashmir jumped by 21, and Uttarakhand, Sikkim, Haryana, Assam, Tripura, Punjab, Madhya Pradesh and Odisha. So these are moving really, really fast. Okay, so good governance strategies are also there, and the bureaucracy is also mobile in these states. Now let's see what is the SDG 13, climate action. What is the climate action, or you can say what are the India's NDCs. Fine. How India has defined its own regional or national goals to achieve this SDG 13 criteria. So India wants net zero emission by 2070. Fine. This is an ambitious project of our country, and we hope that it can achieve. Sub parts we have achieved. Fine. Sub parts of every you can see all these initiatives have sub parts. So sub parts of every initiative we have achieved, but larger goal is still to be achieved. So you must remember that India's ambition is to achieve net zero emission by 2070. Okay, fine. Also we have defined 5 Panchamrit commitments to combat the climate change. What are those commitments? First one is the net zero emission only by 2070. We want net zero emission plus minus is equal to 0. Fine. That is your net zero emission. Then we want to achieve 500 gigawatt. 500 gigawatt. This is again a quantum number. Fine. A very huge number. India wants non-fossil energy capacity of 500 gigawatt by 2030. We also aim at fulfilling 50% of our energy commitments from renewable energy by 2030. Then India also aims to reduce the total projected carbon emission. Now carbon emission is the pet project of our government. They are very, very serious about this thing, by 1 billion tons from now onwards till 2030. Okay, so carbon emission includes basically everything: your infrastructure, your vehicles, your project financing, everything we have modified to combat this carbon emission. By 2030, India will reduce the carbon intensity of its economy by less than 45%. Now this 45% is important. You must remember 45%. Why? Because this number keeps on changing, but India really wants to reduce the carbon intensity by less than 45%. It must be less than 40, but 45% is also a good number. Now India and SDG 13 climate action, what all we have achieved or where do we stand. Let's see. So drastic improvement of 13 points in overall score for your SDG. As I have mentioned that SDG score of India is 71, and for each SDG 1 till SDG 17 there are various scores. Fine, separate scores are also there. For goal number 13, that is climate action, we have drastically improved, and now our score is 67. Earlier we used to fall in the performer category, that is greater than 50. If you have a score of greater than 50, then you will fall under the performer category. Now we are in the category of front runner with the rank or score of 67. Next is disaster preparedness score as per the disaster resilience index is 19.20. This is important, this fact is important, it might be asked in your exam. Fine, because disaster management is very important part of the climate action. Improvement in electricity generation is also there from renewable energy. Initially it was 36.37, now it has jumped to 43.28%. Although approximately what, only 7% jump is there, but it is huge when you talk in the terms of gigawatt. Fine. 94.86% of industries comply with the environmental standard. Now this is a debatable number, but yes, official numbers say this only. But the environmentalists, they say that if so much of environmental standards are being complied in India, then why we are facing the issue of pollution? That's a debatable topic, not relevant for our exam. Now banks and climate change, how banks will help in this initiative of our country to make our climate resilient towards any negative change. So although the banks do not have any direct role in climate change, the banks do play significant role as lenders to the industries. If banks start to lend to, let's say, those industries only which are environmentally sustainable, then ultimate goal of India will met, because new infrastructure, if we comply with the emission norms, if we comply with the renewable energy norms, if we comply with the zero emission norms, then ultimately we will achieve our SDG goals. So banks have indirect role. They must, I would say, they must take this thing very seriously, that all those projects which they are financing must have one component of emission norms. Fine, they must fulfill, those projects must fulfill the component of emission norms. Now one initiative, you can say one financial body is there, FSTF, and it has suggested certain changes or certain inclusions they want in the banking industry of India so that they can contribute towards climate change. They say that benchmark the definition of sustainable financing. So definition must be there, that which project you think is a sustainable project. Fine, sustainable, environmentally sustainable project. Only finance those projects which are environmentally sustainable. Undertaking the scenario analysis, if there is a particular domain where banks need to finance, fine, they think that it is a profitable business for them in that particular domain, still you must analyze all those parameters where environment will be impacted. Assessing the risks and opportunities in sustainable financing mechanism. What all risks are involved if you finance, let's say, a coal project? What all opportunities are there if you finance the project of EV? Fine. Now let's see what is green finance for sustainable development. Green finance, simply stated, it means nothing but all those projects which will help us to make our environment more sustainable. Environmental, you can say environmental friendly measures are being taken in those projects. So green financing is nothing but the finance for sustainable future. It refers to financial arrangements that are specific to the use of for projects that are environmentally stable or the projects that adopt the aspects of climate change. Now, these financing can be from anybody, from any organization, any entity, like your, you can say, from your public enterprises, private participation, or not for profit sectors as well. So what all projects should a bank or a financial institution must invest in, so that we can say that yes, green finance is happening, green financing is happening. These projects are your all the projects involving production of energy from renewable sources like solar, wind, biogas, etc. All these projects which involve renewable sources of energy, they will come under the green financing. If the banks will finance those projects only which produce energy from renewable resources, they will come under green finance for sustainable development. Fine. Now, clean transportation is the word. This is very, very important because you can relate with the EVs, na? Although India lacks that infrastructure for your electric vehicles, but again, in public transport also, now we are seeing buses, EV buses are also there. So government wants that we must include clean transportation also when we talk about sustainable development, as it involves lower GHG emission, that is greenhouse gas emissions are pretty much low when we talk about clean transportation. Energy efficient projects like green building must be there. Now, what is green building? Starting from the electricity till whatever need you have in a building while residing in a building or working in a building, all those needs are met using the renewable sources. Waste management, that includes recycling, efficient disposal and conversion to energy. Fine. Biomass and everything is included here. Fine. Now, what is green lending? It is parallel to the green finance only. All those lenders who are interested or who are willing or who are actively participating in green financing or green finance are undertaking what? They are undergoing the process known as green lending. And this was specifically mentioned by Reserve Bank of India under its green finance initiative, and it has modified or included small renewable energy sector under priority sector lending in 2015. Fine. So green lending specifically, it was earlier not there prior to 2015. Once RBI modified the priority sector lending sectors, fine, I hope that you must be knowing that there are various PSLs. One of the PSL which RBI introduced in 2015 was small renewable energy sector, and since then this term green lending is very much prominent in Indian financial sector. Now, one important factoid for you, that as at March 2020, the aggregate outstanding bank credit to non-conventional energy sector was around 36,543 crore only. Fine. And it used to constitute roughly of 7.9%. Fine. It constitutes around 7.9%. Earlier in 2015, this share of 7.9% was way less, that is 5.4% only. So you can see that after RBI introduced the new category in priority sector lending, the banks started funding the green finance projects more. Fine. And as the time will go, as government will aggressively push for accomplishing the SDG targets, this number will eventually rise up to 12% also. Fine. 12% will be the number in near future only. Now, what are green bonds? All those security market instruments which finance all the projects which take care of the renewable energy, which uses the renewable energy sources, are known as green bonds. Fine. They were introduced in 2015, and till 2020 we have the data. The outstanding amount of green bonds in India was 16.3 billion US dollar. India basically issued the green bonds of about $8 billion since 2018, which constituted about only 0.7% of the total bonds which India has already issued. This is an area where we must improve. Fine, we have scope of improvement here. We must improve because 0.7% is a very low number given the portfolio size of Indian market. Now, this was it for your green bonds. Let's move on to the CSR, that is corporate social responsibility activities. What all activities are there? Basically, all those activities by the big corporate houses that incorporate economic, social and environmental obligation are known as corporate social responsibility. Like ITC is there. You must have heard this name, ITC. Now ITC, every classmate notebook is also there. Fine, all those notebooks of classmate, they have one leaflet at the end of their notebook describing how they fund certain amount, a certain share towards education. Fine. So ITC is a big name, a big firm, we would say, a big corporate house which is profitable, and from that profit certain amount goes to education. Fine. So this is an obligation on ITC that you must be involved in some activity which will have impact on the economic life, social life or the environmental aspect of India. Fine. This was just an example. You can quote n number of example like this. Fine. Reliance Industries also doing some projects like this, financing in some projects which involve your poverty reduction, or for that matter for your environment as well. They are doing various campaigns also. Tata Group, they are also more inclined towards, you know, environmental aspect. Like for Tata cars, you will always find one EV. So this is also part of their CSR. Okay. So basically, corporate social responsibility, whether it is mentioned somewhere, yes, this is mentioned in section 135 of the Companies Act 2013. Okay, it provides the legal support for CSR in India. Now both these SDGs and Indian corporate social responsibility rule, they were adopted around the same time. Fine. So you can see na, in 2013 the act was finalized, and 2015-16 SDGs came. Okay, so around same time they were implemented in India and appear to have enormous potential for developing the unified sustainable growth strategy. Okay, both of these initiatives, CSR, why there is a special mention of CSR in this unit, because this initiative has a big potential to cover up the SDG goals for our country. Schedule 7 provides the overall direction for CSR efforts. Specifically, Schedule 7 is there for your overall direction when it comes to CSR efforts. SDG are measurable targets that result from CSR programs. Business through CSR play a key role in facilitating the SDG implementation. Okay, the integration of sustainable development goal and corporate social responsibility makes this topic interesting. Fine. For our exam point of view, this much you must know. Fine. Other than that, they are just discussions and debatable topics which we can spend a whole day, but we must stick to the exam relevant content only. Now let's check our progress. One question is here for you guys. India has made 5 Panchamrit commitments to combat the climate change. Which of the following is not one of them? Okay. So options are achieving the target of net zero emission by year 2040. No, it is what? 2070. Next is achieving 500 gigawatt non-fossil energy capacity by 2030. Yes, this is right. Then we have fulfilling 50% of its energy requirements from renewable energy sources by 2030. Again, this is correct option, because 50%, yes, it is 50% only. Okay. India will reduce the total projected carbon emission by 1 billion tons. 1 billion tons from now onwards till 2030. This is also a right option. So option A will be the correct answer, because here it is written not one of them. Okay, do read the question carefully, because ultimately these questions will make your exam tough. Okay, topics are not that tough. The subtopics won't trouble you if you study well. Only the questions, the language of the question, the interpretation of the options will make this exam tough. So do stick to this strategy. Read between the lines. This is a simple question. MDG is expired in 2015. Okay, option A is the right answer. Then we have disaster preparedness score as per the disaster resilience index stands at what? What is the disaster preparedness score for India? You can add India here. In case of India, it is what? It is 19.20. Option B is the right answer. Now another simple question. Type of bond is being asked, and the description is given as a bond issued by sovereign entity, intergovernmental groups or alliances, and corporates with the aim that the proceeds of those bonds are utilized for projects classified as environmentally sustainable. Fine. Till the first three lines, you can have any n number of bonds, not any bond, n number of bonds. But when I include environmentally sustainable, then the correct option will be what? Your green bonds. Option D will be the right answer. Okay, clear? So this was it for this particular session. If you like the content which we are providing, the quality content which we take up for various sessions, so do check it out. Do check it out on our website also, because the similar level of content, the similar quality is being maintained on various courses which we are providing to our students, to our beloved bankers. You can visit our website, that is www.adda247.com, and I would recommend you to download our application, because the interface is robust there, and you can download the application on both the OS, that is your Android operating system, or your iOS as well. Plus one more piece of information for all of you, that we have launched our JAIIB May 2025 courses, where you can get maximum discount on various courses by applying one coupon which I will be sharing with you. But let me first take you through the website of ours, that is Adda247. Once you will go on our website adda247.com, then you will see that in the section of JAIIB CAB, you have to select JAIIB CAB Mahapack here, and now you will see various types of courses. Fine, there are many courses here. Wait a second. JAIIB May 2025. Yes, this is the section where every course is there, like your double validity course for JAIIB Mahapack 2.0, then PPB subscription, AFM, IE IFS subscription is there. Then we have mock tests also here. Okay, video courses are there which you can enroll in. So various courses are there. Ebooks are also available. So we have comprehensive material for this particular examination, and I would like you to go through all these courses once on your own as well. Supposingly you need IE IFS course, just click on that and buy now. When you click on the buy now button, you will see that there are coupons which you can apply. So here I will help you that if you apply the coupon code of Y1003, you will get maximum discount. Fine, maximum discount will pop up, and you will get, like for this course you will get what, 9200 discount. Fine, so do apply this coupon That is why 1003 if you are buying any course on our website, because this will give you maximum discount. Okay. Apart from the course also, I want you all our bankers to have a strategy. Fine, you must have a well-defined strategy, because now is the time. Now you can strategize things. Fine, we have what, 15 days of December, and we have 2-3 months, because in between these months only, till you can say Feb, March, April, hectic schedule will be there professionally for you guys, you know. You will be having year end, financial year will end, some people will have audits. So I want you to have some professional advice, so that your exam preparation journey becomes easy. Okay. So for those who are watching this in the recorded format, if you have any doubt whatsoever regarding the preparation, regarding, you know, how you should approach this exam, all of these things will be addressed by us. Just type your questions, your queries in the comment section, and we will get back to you. Fine. Okay, so this was it for the session. We will meet in the next class. Till then, goodbye.